Welcome to tonight's call. It's a pleasure, and we're all very fortunate to have some amazing speakers here this evening. Two of the top leaders in orthopedic surgery in the United States, Dr. Raj Sinha and Dr. Crickard. And I just want to tell a little bit about this. The bios of both of these gentlemen are incredible. Raj has a results-oriented personality when it comes to knee replacement procedures, explains simply and elegantly why he's decided to specialize in orthopedics. He relocated to the Coachella Valley in 2003, specializes in hip and knee replacement surgery. This is the first major improvement that we've had in 50 years of knee replacement design. His research has been published in leading journals, and he has received multiple awards, including the Clinician Standard Grant from the National Institute of Health, the National Orthopedic Surgery Fellows Foundation Research Grant, the International Society for Technology and Arthroplasty Hip Paul Award, Zimmer Research Grant, and Pittsburgh Tissue Engineering Initiative Grant in 2003, the Harcum Award, the Arthritis Foundation Commitment to Excellence Award. Dr. Sinha earned his medical degree from Jefferson Medical College of Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia, completed his internship in the Department of Surgery at Abington Memorial Hospital in Abington, Pennsylvania during his residency with the Department of Orthopedic Surgery at Thomas Jefferson University. He pursued his PhD at the Thomas Jefferson University of Graduate Studies, Development of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Most recently, Dr. Sinha served as the Director of Orthopedic Curriculum at the Internal Medicine Residency at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. He was co-director of the Ferguson Laboratory and an assistant professor of orthopedic surgery within the Division of Adult Reconstructive Surgery at UPMC. He remains active in surgery education, lecturing worldwide and organizing surgeon education conferences. George Crickard, orthopedic surgeon. When George Crickard, MD, returned to his hometown, Quincy, Illinois in 1998, he's proud to give back to a community that built the foundation for his success. Dr. Crickard received his undergraduate degree from Northwestern University, his medical degree from Northwestern University Medical School, completed his residency in orthopedic surgery at Southern Illinois University School of Medicine, and a fellowship in adult reconstructive with Dr. Richard F. Kyle in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dr. Crickard's family includes his wife, Marion, son, George, who's an occupational therapist in Dallas, his wife, Zoe, daughter, Grace, registered CU nurse in Dallas, son, Jack, college student in Quincy, and enjoys traveling, cycling, history, and reading. Many positive changes have taken place in the care of the hip knee replacement patients over his 26 years in practice. The focus has shifted from just the hip knee to the patient as a whole. Aggressive pain management and early physical occupational therapy allow a more rapid return to normal life. Now, with the advancement of nutrition and nutraceuticals within the field, he's finally been able to impact overall health, allowing his patients to thrive after surgery. We're blessed also to have Dr. Stephen Moore on the call this evening, who's been working with the scanner and the products for 20 years. And he also writes protocol for the company with us. And Dr. Stephen Moore is going to be one of the presenters tonight, along with these two amazing speakers. Thank you very much for joining.
What if you could actually know your skin's carotenoid level? Well, that's what PharmaNex Biophotonic Scanner is all about. The scanner uses a Nobel Prize-winning technology called resonant Raman spectroscopy to quickly, accurately, and painlessly measure skin carotenoid levels using nothing more than light. The carotenoids are responsible for red, yellow, and orange colors in fruits and vegetables, like carrots and tomatoes. Their main purpose is to help prevent oxidative damage to cells and provide other important benefits. But it's their unique chemical structure that allows us to easily track the concentration of carotenoids in the skin using the biophotonic scanner. The scanner shoots a small beam of blue light through the skin, and when that light touches carotenoids, it changes to a green light and bounces back to the scanner. The device then detects this change and analyzes the amount of carotenoids found based on the intensity of the change. This is called Raman shift. This process is absolutely painless, and with our latest scanner, it takes just seconds. You see, skin carotenoid levels aren't something that significantly fluctuate or change over a matter of hours or days. It takes time for your nutrition and diet to reflect in your skin, which means that it's a more stable measurement that you can use to judge your regular habits, like eating more fruits and vegetables every day or taking a new supplement. And that's where the device's true business potential can shine. Customers are naturally hesitant about using their hard-earned money on a product that doesn't give them immediate results that they can see or feel. But with the PharmaNex Biophotonics Scanner, you can give them the proof they need. Nu Skin products that are skin carotenoid score certified are guaranteed to increase your skin carotenoid score over time. Just scan before you use a certified supplement, then again every 6 to 8 weeks, and you'll be impressed when you see the change that's happening in your body. This visual proof can be an incredibly powerful tool and lends you credibility as an expert in the products you sell. When customers are able to track their progress, they're more likely to be satisfied with their purchases and become lifelong subscribers. Plus, the Biophotonics Scanner is exclusive to Nu Skin and PharmaNex, so it gives you an important competitive advantage that no one else can offer. It's a great way to show that Nu Skin and PharmaNex are all about the proof and science of discovering the best you.
Well, thanks everybody for joining here tonight. It's good to be here. We really appreciate you being on this webinar. We are really excited to present here tonight an innovative technology that is really empowering healthcare providers across the United States, patients, and the public to really focus more on the root cause of what's causing a lot of these illnesses, poor healing in the body, and that's our diet and our lifestyle. My name is Dr. Stephen Moore. And it was almost 20 years ago that I learned about this technology as a solution for the practice that I was getting ready to start. And over the years, I've really enjoyed working to educate physicians around the country about the benefits and how we can really work together with an evidence-based and science-based technology and product line to make a difference while improving revenue. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at the PharmaNex headquarters, it is located in Provo, Utah. We do a conference there periodically. We have one coming up in August that we'll invite you to at the end of this webinar. But this is the headquarters. It's the largest nutraceutical and anti-aging research center in the world. They employ about 75 full-time scientists, and they own and operate all of these buildings with massive labs, doing things really differently than any other company in this industry. And what we're doing and working together with healthcare providers and other key opinion leaders is to really help shift this into healthcare to really make a big impact towards prevention. So the technology was not originally developed by PharmaNex. It was funded by the National Institute of Health, completely independently of the company. So that was one of the first questions that I asked was this just a device or a gadget or a gimmick that some supplement company developed to go sell their product? Because you see a lot of that stuff at the functional conferences and the anti-aging conferences. And this technology was developed completely independently of PharmaNex. They had later acquired the device and they invested in commercializing it and bringing it into market. It was originally the size of an MRI machine. So it was being used for eye disease and then cancer research at the University of Utah. And then PharmaNex has gone through major iterations. We're now on the third commercial unit. It's completely streamlined and it's very easy to use and completely non-invasive. So it's coupled with the PharmaNex product line, which is the only supplement line that carries an SCS certification. What that means, it's been clinically studied and guaranteed to improve antioxidant levels. And their products have been also listed in the physician's desk reference, which is pretty unique in this space. They've had a lot of validation, both from the scientific world, universities, the media, and the business world, publishing research with Stanford. A 10-year study was published with Yale University with this technology. They have these devices in Texas Tech Medical School, who's been on the news with it. Dr. Oz did a whole show about preventing cancer, featured this device. They've been featured on the Discovery Channel about some of the breakthroughs they've made in targeting the genetic sources of aging. And we'll play a video at the end of this webinar if you guys want to stay on longer and listen to that. They were the most innovative company in the United States by the American Business Awards. The technology behind the scanner is based on Nobel Prize winning science. They were the first nutritional supplement company to get the approval to sponsor the US Olympic team, and they've been featured as a most trustworthy company by Forbes and carry the top rating in Better Business Bureau as well as the Dun and Bradstreet. So, with that being said, there's a lot of validation behind this. This is not in its infancy. And as a healthcare provider, a medical rep, or an entrepreneur that is interested in working with the company, they have gone through tremendous validation in the marketplace. What we're doing here is really fixing healthcare. I think more than ever, physicians and patients are realizing that we have a broken system, that the system, we have great healthcare providers, there's a lot of great science, but we need to get back to what's actually causing disease, and that's our diet and our lifestyle. We cannot invent enough drugs or do enough surgeries to fix the problems that are self-induced by our toxic environment, the problems with our food, all these processed things that people are eating. We have a lot of issues that are taking place here. And so we have a system that our goal is to help fix it, to help empower doctors with tools and technology and science that can start to address the root cause of why we have issues with healing and why we have so many issues with these metabolic diseases. We know the number one cause of preventable disease is our diet and our lifestyle, and we believe that we finally have a way to address that in a meaningful way. The third thing we'll talk about here is the demand for supplements. This is a huge business. It is 3 times as big as the statin industry. And so there's a big opportunity here for healthcare providers or anyone else that wants to represent this technology to get involved on offering these services either to patients or helping expand the distribution with this. So on tonight's webinar, I know we have a lot of healthcare providers, we have a lot of medical reps, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs that are looking at this as well. And so we're going to be talking a little bit to everybody. Tonight's webinar is going to be geared a little bit heavy into the orthopedic side, but we'll talk about why and how this applies to almost any specialty in healthcare. And the biophotonic scanner has really become the new standard for measuring antioxidants and oxidative stress. We have a great company behind it. Pharmanex was founded by the former director of chemistry for Merck. They have the largest research engine. They're owned by a publicly traded company now called Nu Skin Enterprises, and they've actually poured a lot of funding. And we've been developing over the years a healthcare provider platform, for this in a very professional way. And then obviously there's a great revenue stream here, right? I mean, I think more than ever, healthcare providers need other ways of bringing in revenue outside of insurance. And a lot of medical reps are just tired of the quotas and the hustle and the mergers and the acquisitions. And so whether you're looking to do something on the side as a physician, because many physicians are now looking for side opportunities to do, or whether you're a medical rep or an entrepreneur, or maybe you're looking for the next big thing for yourself, all those opportunities are within the company, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of this webinar. So let's talk first about the demand for supplements, right? This is a big business. These are 2 charts. The first chart on the left is the demand for supplements in the United States from 2000 to 2017. Every single year it grew by $1 to $2 billion, ending up at about a $37 billion market by the end of 2017. There's a little bit of gap here because I don't have the data in between, but it grew 2020 to 45 billion, 48 billion in 2021. COVID really accelerated the growth of the supplement market because people are looking for other ways to take care of themselves. They don't want to wait until they get some disease. People want to be more proactive with their health, more so than ever. And they're looking for supplements that can be beneficial. And there's a lot of confusion in the market. The supplement market is projected to grow significantly, over the next several years. And we believe that this is a better way to address the needs of patients in healthcare settings and other ways that we are getting this technology out there. We know that 3 out of 4 adults are taking a supplement. So whether you're a doctor recommending supplements or not, and right now about 80% of doctors are recommending some type of supplement, but a lot of them are not giving specific recommendations, and patients are going out to, GNC with a teenager, or they're going to Costco and getting a free sample. So we know that there's a lot of people taking supplements, and they need better guidance than the way things are happening right now. So if you go to a pharmacy and your patients, or we've all kind of walked down these aisles and we're wondering what's the difference between this bottle and this bottle? How do we read the labels? Are these ingredients really in the bottles? Is it standardized? Is it stable? Is it tested? Is it contaminated? There are a plethora of problems with retail and self-administering these supplements. People are very confused. They do the best that they can, but there's really no way to really know what's behind these. It's kind of like buying a bottle of wine and there's a bunch of bottles and you can't taste it, and you're just going to randomly, pick one, and most of them are probably going to taste bad. Well, supplements you can't taste, and it's so we need a way to measure, just like we do with anything in healthcare. And so the confusion for doctors is, which supplement do we recommend? And then how do we know if it's working? And if we're not measuring, we really don't know. We should not just be recommending things on blind faith, hoping it's working and assuming that it's working because it had a nutrient on the label. Often it does not. Yes, there's ways of doing blood tests, and this technology is very compatible and actually helps if you're doing more advanced functional testing. But the challenge with blood testing is it's expensive, it's invasive, it takes time, right? It's very variable when it comes to nutrition. Like what you ate today is not the same thing you ate yesterday or last week. And so being able to get a reliable, easy, quick, inexpensive measurement to not just get a baseline, but to be able to monitor people over a period of time to see how they're doing is needed in the marketplace. And that's where the biophotonic scanner comes in. We do this with blood pressure. We measure, right? And then we recommend a medication and lifestyle changes, and we remeasure blood pressure to see if it's working, right? We would never recommend blood pressure medication if we weren't testing and monitoring blood pressure. In fact, it's a standard of care. Every time a patient comes in, you want to see how their blood pressure is. If their blood pressure is good, you want to see, okay, when is it going to go off? When do we need to address this? And so being able to measure is important. We look at vitamin D testing. A lot of people are doing vitamin D testing and they're finding deficiencies. And now there's some new information out there that is confusing about that. And so we really need to get out of this treat disease mindset only, and we really need to give the body the nutrients it needs to stay healthy. Our body is a self-healing organism, right? But if we don't give it what it needs, we're going to have problems. And these problems that we face, a lot of these are preventable. So when it comes to supplements, the status quo is just take something. That's what most people do, or just go find something. And we really believe that we need to provide testing before and after, just like we would with anything else in healthcare. The ability to measure is the essence of science. Now, the applications for nutrition impacts almost any specialty. So whether you're a cardiologist or an internal medicine doctor, an OBGYN, we all know that diet and lifestyle impacts eye health, impacts women's health, impacts cardiovascular health, right? And if you're a medical rep or an entrepreneur looking at this, you literally have unlimited call points to go to, unlimited call points. And so we know that nutrition is a big problem. We've done about 30 million scans worldwide with this technology. 94% of the people fail. This is a big issue that we can bring to people's attention by being able to measure. So I'm excited here tonight to talk about, or to introduce Dr. Raj Sinha. He's going to be talking about the role of nutrition and how the biophotonic scanner and the PharmaNex product line, why an orthopedic surgeon would be interested in this, right? And so he's going to talk about this, but I want everybody also to realize that it's not just about orthopedics. These are applications to any type of healthcare provider. So Dr. Sinha, thanks so much for being with us tonight, and we're looking forward to learning from you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moore, and thanks for inviting me here. I always love talking about nutrition because it's something that I don't talk about on a daily basis with my patients because they want to hear about orthopedic stuff. So I'm going to talk about how I got involved with PharmaNex. And in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. As I crossed 50 and I was practicing in Palm Springs doing hip and knee replacement, where my average age of my surgical patient was 76, I had a lot of conversations with patients about how they were spending their time going from one doctor to another doctor to another doctor to manage, one specialist would manage this problem, another would manage that problem. And I said, I don't know if I want to live long, but I certainly want to live better than this. And there is no way I'm going to do what most of my patients are doing. So I started looking at anti-aging methodologies, and basically everything that I found until I got introduced to Pharmanex was what Stephen talked about, where you go to a provider and they draw your blood and they dial up your selenium and dial down your magnesium. And, the question for me was, how do I know if that really is going to help me with anti-aging? So if you can get into my slide deck here. As a scientist, what I really wanted to know was, how does this really work? Does it work? And can I hang my hat on it? And can I recommend it to my family and my patients? So, just sort of high level, we all know the phrase, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Preventative health means more than just eating healthy. You have to eat the right sort of stuff. We know that fruits and vegetables are our primary dietary source for antioxidants. You've heard why antioxidants are important in terms of quenching free radicals in your body to help prevent cellular and protein damage. And there's a lot of studies that show that antioxidants will help prevent disease. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how I came to this journey. Next slide, please. The crux of the problem, of course, is that the recommendations for how much we eat are only about 5 servings per day, and only about 10% of adults even get the 5 servings per day in the US. Next slide. But what's worse than that is that that food that we're eating today, compared to the recommendations that came from the 1950s, is about 1/3 as nutritious as the food was available back then. And the reason is because more pesticides are being used. There's genetic modification that increases the size of the food and the fruits without changing the nutritional value. And the soil has just been heavily depleted because the rotating of farming hasn't been done as well. And so, for example, apples of today are 1/3 less nutritional value than those of 50 years ago. And an orange of today, you need to eat 21 oranges to get the equivalent nutritional value from orange from 50 years ago. So pretty amazing. So again, the short summary, we need fruits and vegetables. We got to change our lifestyle if we want to prevent disease. We don't get enough as Americans. The recommendations are probably too low as it is, and the food that we eat is just not nearly as good as it was when the recommendations came out. So what do you do about it? Well, obviously you can increase your fruit and vegetable content. You can do 15 servings per day. I think 10 is probably even too low. 15 servings per day. In our standard diet, we're probably getting 3 to 4. I know even somebody who's interested in this and is making an effort, I barely get 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, but you need to get to 15. So simply doing it by diet, I think, is not realistic, and that's where supplementation comes in. Next slide, please. So supplements are important because of what you've heard so far is you need to get beta carotenoids. There's over 1,100 beta carotenoids, about 100 of which are important for our diet. And the only way you're going to get them is from green leafy vegetables and colored fruits and vegetables. So eat the rainbow as you will. As you've heard before. The supplements are designed to purify the nutrients and micronutrients that are in those fruits and vegetables, and then provide them to you in easy, concentrated form. But as Steve mentioned, not all supplements are created equal. And there's a big problem of knowing what to take. Next slide. Just basic problem. If you cut an apple and the inside of the apple gets exposed to the air, which is very oxidizing, it's going to start to denature the proteins and the sugars that are there and cause it to break down. Oxidative stress in our body is caused by a bunch of things, many of which are lifestyle induced, such as obesity, airplane travel, sun exposure, smoking is bad, pesticides, etc., and then poor diet. Next slide. So for me, the decision making was I need to know certain things as a scientist. And what I needed to learn was I needed to convince myself that serum levels of carotenoids actually correlated to disease prevention. And there's hundreds of papers that are out there that show that serum levels correlate to preventing all of these different diseases listed on the slide. So that was an important first step for me. In addition to that, I needed to know that skin levels, as being measured by the biophotonic scanner, actually correlate to serum levels. And so in addition to this group of papers that looks at the value of high levels of antioxidants, they actually looked at the importance of correlating not only high levels of carotenoid levels with prevention of disease, but low levels of carotenoid levels with occurrence of disease. So that was an important step for me in understanding. Next slide. And then I also wanted to learn a little bit about the basic science of, what do the carotenoids do? And if you look at the list of the products that are listed in LifePak, for example, which is one of the products that I take, I literally went through each item on the list and looked it up because it's not something I had talked or had studied since medical school. And I could see where in various pathways, enzymatic pathways in the cell, each of those micronutrients is being utilized by enzymes and in protein repair, DNA repair, et cetera. So at the basic science level, all of these different things have been shown from carotenoids and other antioxidants to help at the cellular level. So things like you wouldn't think about, like gap junction stabilization, for example. And then, the next step is what diseases does it prevent? What's important to me? Well, in my family, heart disease is prevalent, diabetes is prevalent. So these are the sorts of things that I want to prevent. I don't want to treat them after the fact. I want to prevent them altogether. And so there's a whole group of papers that looks at diabetes, next slide, cancer prevention, specifically for women, breast, ovarian, and cervical cancer, colorectal for men and women, prostate for men, and then other things like cardiovascular and eye diseases. Next slide. Heart disease runs in my family, as I mentioned. So this is something that I wanted to prevent for myself. And that led me to Pharmanex. And so if you look at a couple things, maybe just jump ahead, Steve, the important thing in the technology is that it's been around for over 100 years and it's well studied. And those of us who've done any sort of biochemistry research have used Raman spectroscopy to measure protein content or protein shift, using light shift to measure protein amounts and in studies that we've done. So I knew that I was very familiar with the technology. I believed in it. Sort of those three things that were important for me were things that I was able to prove by looking at the research. And if you do a Google search, if you do a PubMed search, you'll find over 100 pages of SCS type of studies looking at the value and those three things I was talking about. The other thing that I thought was really impressive when I visited Provo was that Pharmanex doesn't fund any of this research. At most, they'll provide supplements, but all the research is independently funded. And so nobody's getting paid to prove that it works. I thought that was really important for understanding the value from a scientific standpoint. And so I started it for myself. My family got started on it. And then I said, why don't I just do this for my patients? All of them are older. They all have these multiple chronic diseases. Let's start to implement it in my practice. And so that's what I started. It was just everybody at first. And then for surgical patients in particular, I started saying, look, about the same time, about 8-9 years ago, when I was getting started with this, there was a lot of research that was being published on how nutrition and preloading with carbohydrates or proteins, et cetera, would help prevent complications post-surgically as well as enhance wound healing. So I started talking to my patients about the importance of doing this for a 6 to 12 week period going into their surgery. And I think a lot of patients bought into it. The most important patient that bought into it was my wife. She had bilateral knee replacement back in October, and she had been on supplements along with me for several years, and her scores were quite high. But as we were going into her surgery, we decided to ramp it up even more. So we added some additional products. She cut out alcohol. We really cut back on our excessive protein content, and she got her score up over 80,000 going into her surgery, which, if you know anything about the scores, 70,000 is where you're actually fighting cancer. 50,000, you're fighting chronic disease. So to have a score of 80,000 going into surgery gave her a lot of confidence, and she recovered quite well as a result. So just to quickly summarize, if you can jump ahead here. The science on the skin score is legit. It's real. You can believe it. It's been well studied. I spent 6 months reading over 100 papers to convince myself. You can feel comfortable about talking about supplementation as a preventative health modality. This is the first time as physicians that we have the ability to do more than treat symptoms of disease. We can actually prevent disease and prevent the associated symptoms. And that's something that for me was sort of that epiphany light bulb moment of I've done 10,000 joint replacement surgeries, but I haven't cured a single person. All I've done is ameliorate their symptoms. And this is the first opportunity for us to actually cure and prevent disease. So if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, I think you can really feel comfortable that Pharmanex is a real deal. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Sinha. And just a little disclaimer here. From a company standpoint, it's not Pharmanex or the products. We're not making any disease claims as a company that we're preventing or treating disease. These are physicians giving their clinical opinion, which they're completely capable of doing. So Dr. Sinha is giving his personal clinical opinion based on the research he's done. And Dr. Crickard will be doing the same thing here as well. So what we're going to do here is shift gears a little bit and really talk about how this has functioned in a practice, and really why you brought it into your practice and why you believe not only other orthopedic doctors should bring it into their practice, but who else do you think should bring it in and why? And we're going to have Dr. Crickard come on here and kind of share his experience. And Mike had gotten a chance to introduce Dr. Crickard or his background here, but he also just came back from a conference. He actually personally, as well as Dr. Sinha, they personally flew out to the Pharmanex headquarters to tour the labs, the facilities, meet with the scientists, learn about the company, the organization that we're part of, and came back just very impressed with confidence to tell their colleagues about it. We do not pay them a fee to do this webinar like other drug companies do. They're doing this because they want to work with us to help make an impact in healthcare. And so, Dr. Crickard, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I think one of the things we look at, and unfortunately, I don't have official slides up there, so if you can put some other background, Pharmanex nutraceuticals have not made me better looking. I think they've made me healthier, but not better looking. So I don't think people want to necessarily look at me while I'm speaking. Anyhow, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I've been in practice for about 26 years. The interesting thing is about 10 years ago, we started to look at optimizing our patients for surgery. And I think before that time, we would always ask our primary care physicians to give us clearance. And I'm in a smaller community, 40,000. And I think medical clearance used to be that the primary care physician would say, oh, I just saw Jimmy at the gas pump 3 days ago. He looked healthy. I think he's okay for surgery. And we'd go ahead and do surgery. And about 10 years ago, we started to look at pre-optimization before surgery. In other words, getting the patients as healthy as possible so they not only survive surgery, but actually thrive as they go through it. So managing diabetes, trying to get obesity under control, managing smoking were the three big things that came to the forefront. Nutrition was always mentioned, but we had no idea how to monitor it. We knew that you could order lab tests, albumin, pre-albumin, transferrin, etc. We never knew what to do with those values. And I actually went through a period where I'd have nutritionists, dietitians in my office, and I'd have them meet with our patients. I'm in Quincy, Illinois. It's Midwest. My average BMI last year for my total joint practice, hips and knees, was 39.8. And a vast majority of orthopedic surgeons and now hospitals are starting to limit their patients at a BMI of 40. And my average was just under that for the last 3 years. So I take care of a very high-risk patient population. So as we look at nutrition and as we had dietitians meet with my patients, we really never knew what to tell them. Eat healthy, that doesn't work. Go to the store and try to grab some vitamins. It's interesting, there was a study that was done on glucosamine and chondroitin, which are two building blocks basically of articular cartilage. They became kind of a nutraceutical about 20 years ago for the average orthopedic patient. Consumer Reports did a study on looking at those two vitamins off the shelf. They looked at very respected name brands, and they found that if the product advertised itself as 1,000 milligrams, it had anywhere from, I think, 790 milligrams all the way up to 1,200 milligrams of the product in it. And they didn't check and see what shouldn't be in it, which is one of the things that Pharmanex does with their vitamins and with their testing. So I think we knew that nutrition was important, but we never knew what to do about it. And about a year ago in orthopedics, there was an explosion of articles that came out in our major journals that talked about nutrition and how important nutrition was. And again, not much information on how to treat it or what to do about it. And so I started to dig around a little bit on my own to try to figure out what an answer might be. And at about the same time, I was contacted by Pharmanex and said, "Hey, George, you've been interested in nutrition. We've heard through the grapevine that you would like to do something better for your patients, and we have an option for you." And so I was leery of Pharmanex, as I was with almost every vitamin company out there. And so I started to do some research on it before I jumped in, and it's just amazing what they've amassed as far as research. I think the quality control that they do on their products is second to none. And so about a year and a half ago, I jumped into the line myself and for my wife. And then I believe in October of this last year, I started using it for my patients. And what I do is I tell my patients that as part of my protocol, if you're coming to me as an orthopedic surgeon, I want you to do these 5 or 6 things. And one of them I tell them that they have to do is look at nutritional status. And we have a vitamin pack that we've put together for them. We use Life Pack and we add Optimum Omega to it. As part of my joint practice, that here's where we do our physical therapy. Here's how you're going to do your preoperative evaluation. Here's how you're going to do your surgery. And then preoperatively and postoperatively, I want you to take vitamins. And the nice thing is with the scanners, we can actually test the patients both before they go on product and then after they go on product to see that they do make a difference. And again, before we would get kind of these expensive blood tests and never really retest the patient. We'd give them a few Ensure shakes to drink every day and hope that it worked. But we never really tested them again. And this is a product and a scanner that we can retest and prove to the patient that you are making a difference, as Dr. Sinha said about his wife, boosting her that much through the perioperative process is key, and it's huge. So one of the things that I think I've learned through this, Steve, is you tell patients, and again, I'm in a very rural area. We're a very blue collar area. My patients are not necessarily looking to spend more money, but what I tell them is it's $2.50 a day. It's less than the cup of coffee that they're bringing into my office. And so if you look at it, that it's $2.50 a day, and it makes a difference in your outcome. This truly makes a difference in how you recover and how you handle surgery. So we come at it obviously as an orthopedic specialist. I think you can look at it from all surgery specialties. Going into surgery, better fit is the way to go. And this is a product that I think has helped my practice tremendously over the last 9 to 10 months.
Well, thanks, Doc. Thanks, Dr. Crickard, very much, and for sharing and for being on here tonight. It's been great to get to know you. And maybe if you could take a minute or so, tell everybody a little bit more about yourself, a little more about the group that you're part of, and where you see this going within your medical group.
So I'm in a multi-specialty group in a town of 45,000 here in Central Illinois. We have over 120 different providers. One of the things that I've recently done is I just met with our primary care physicians to introduce them to the product. More so as a first meeting to just tell them that this is what I'm using. We're a small community. I do get a large referral basis, but a majority of my patients come from primary care physicians that I know and that I deal with or that I see on a daily basis. And so they know my practice, they know what I do, they know what to expect. And so when I added this to my patient's practice, some of them called me and said, "Hey, George, what are you doing? Why are you prescribing vitamins? That's something we should do." And, I went through that a vast majority of patients are taking vitamins over the counter. We don't know what quality they are. And then I found this product, and I want my patients to thrive through the surgical process. And this is what we're going to do. So I met with them, 2 months ago to introduce them to not only the scanner, but also the vitamin pack that I use. And I use the Life Pack and the optimum omega. And the next step, I think, is going to try to have them integrate these vitamins in their practice and try to, hopefully at some point, my ideal goal would be to have patients come to my office, and the first time I meet them, they're already on product and they're already ready to go. They've been pre-optimized, not only diabetes, smoking, and weight, but they've been optimized nutrition-wise too. So that's my current push. The way I do it with my patients is I want them to do it six weeks before surgery, 2 weeks after at a minimum, to try to get their wound to heal. So we give them basically a 2-month pack of vitamins to use through the perioperative process.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Dr. Crickard. Dr. Sinha, anything else that you want to add before we shift gears and we jump into the business side of things, and then we'll wrap up?
Sure thing. I agree with Dr. Crickard about everything he's talking about with surgical optimization. I think one of the things that we don't talk about much in surgery and orthopedics particularly is the effect of swelling on postoperative pain and other problems with wound healing. And one of the things that I found in my research is that the increased antioxidant levels actually decrease lower extremity swelling postoperatively. And that was one of the things that really stimulated us, my wife particularly, since she was the patient, to really ramp up her score. Was she didn't want to have the swelling in the leg, and she didn't swell at all. So I'm a firm believer. I know the company can't make those claims, but I'm pretty comfortable making them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And we may ask you guys if you need to jump off. We want to be respectful of your time. We're going to talk a little bit more about the business side of things. But if you're able to stay on when we wrap up the webinar, if anybody has any questions, we do have a chat going on if you want some specific questions, either answered by myself or Dr. Sinha or Dr. Crickard. So let's jump into the business side of things. And so we look at, the importance of measurement. You look at measuring cholesterol, I think is the statin industry, the pharmaceutical solution to reducing that score is now a $30 billion market. The ability to measure bone density scans drove calcium supplements, the solutions, the blood glucose monitoring drove, I don't even know how big that market is right now, but it is in the tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars. And we really believe that the next major biomarker in healthcare is antioxidant and oxidative stress testing, which plays a role in inflammation and healing and applications to all these different health concerns that different providers have. The supplement market's currently $60 billion. It's very fragmented, very confused. There's a lot of concerns over quality. And this is really a disruptive way, a better way of doing what people are trying to do. And Pharmanex has the global exclusive rights to this technology. Nobody else in the world can measure. And they also have the only supplement line that's been clinically proven and guaranteed to improve that score within 2 months, or patients get their money back. So with the quality control, the integration with the scanner, and some of the things that we've developed with our organization to make things much easier for healthcare providers to implement this, we really have a total solution that providers can really have confidence recommending to their patients. So our goal here is to really make this a standard of care in healthcare. We need the help of many, many people. We need the help of healthcare providers that can spread the word, because they realize that this is something that needs to get done. We know that the hospital systems and the drug companies and the medical device companies are not really going to get involved in really promoting wellness and health, because healthy people are bad customers for the hospital. There's just an inherent conflict of interest. And so we really need a grassroots movement of healthcare providers and medical reps that are kind of tired of the status quo and want to be part of something exciting to find more fulfillment and change, and other entrepreneurs that are working with us to help expand this. Our goal is to place between 25,000 to 50,000 scanners initially in the marketplace. That represents less than 5% of the market penetration. And by doing that, we really believe we'll be able to shift healthcare towards prevention. We currently have about 2,000 devices, and we will be coming out with a new model of this device within the next year or so, if all things go well. And that will be the one that we're going to scale to the masses. The technology in the one, we have very limited ability for manufacturing here, but the next model will be able to scale with some technological advances. And so everyone that has the current version of the device, which works incredibly well, they will be first in line to get the free upgrade to the next unit. So many of you may be thinking, should I wait till the next one? Absolutely not, because you'll be at the back of the line then. And so now's a really great time to get involved, whether you're a healthcare provider or you're an entrepreneur or medical sales rep wanting to get in front of this. So the revenue streams with this are there's revenue from testing and there's revenue from the products. So every patient that enrolls in the supplements is linked to the doctor's office through an account number. And PharmaNext will track all of their purchases, and there's a revenue stream for the doctors. They don't have to inventory the product. They don't have to process orders or returns. All they're doing is instead of sending their patient to a pharmacy, they're sending them to an online portal for these patients to purchase. And then PharmaNext will bill their credit card, ship it directly to their home. So it's super convenient and they can manage everything online or through an app. Every time that purchase is made or that product is shipped, the doctor generates revenue, and then whoever is involved with placing that scanner in the market is also generating a recurring or residual revenue stream. So some doctors that work with us also, not only do it in their practice, but we're also growing our team of entrepreneurial healthcare providers. And so whether you just want to do it in your practice or you want to talk about maybe some other opportunities to work with us, talk to the person that invited you here, and we can talk about what's the next best step for you. So from a scan revenue standpoint, most doctors charge $20 to $30, depending. Some doctors build it into their fees. Some do it for free. All those models really, really work. It's really just a business decision. We go over training with you and some options on how you want to implement it. But if we just go with the fee of $20 for the scan, again, blood tests are hundreds of dollars. This is $20, instant results, more accurate than blood. If you're just doing 5 scans a day or 10 scans a day or 20 scans a day, there's really clinical reasoning to do this on every single patient, just like you do blood pressure and other things. And the impact that you can make is significant because most patients are scoring poor. And when they see a number, you now have some dialogue to get their attention with an objective measurement that you can give them feedback that if they do make some changes, going on the supplements, changing their diet within 2 months, you can see a measurable improvement, which encourages them towards a better path of health. If you want to make a change in habit, the more often you're able to monitor it and show progress, the more consistency, the more of a response you're going to see from that patient. So this biophotonic scanner allows a very simple way to monitor your patients every time they come into the practice. Now, on the product side, whether you put 50 patients on the supplements or 100 patients or 200 patients, these are patients that are getting it shipped to their home automatically. You can see there's an additional recurring revenue stream. Again, you don't have to fight with insurance and getting paid pennies on the dollar. This is money that patients are currently spending elsewhere. All you're doing is redirecting it into the practice, and you're providing a better solution as well as enhancing revenue. So much like a dermatologist will generate revenue on skincare, this is now a really great opportunity for all kinds of medical doctors and other healthcare providers to have a revenue stream that they're currently sending somewhere else. So why now is such a great time, and timing is everything. Timing is never perfect for people, right? It's never convenient to do something new. But when we have something that's worthwhile, that's going to make an impact on patient health, it's going to make an impact on the health of the practice. And doctors are getting burnt out running on the treadmill with insurance companies paying less and less money. I just read an article a couple days ago. They're projecting a 3% cut in physician reimbursements, which most offices run a 50% overhead. That's a 6% reduction in profitability of that practice, right? How do you make up for those things? Do you see more patients, or do you look for other ways to add value to the practice? And so whether it's a convenient time or not, this is a really important time to get involved, and we will work with you to help you get this integrated with systems so you don't have to figure it out. And from a rep standpoint, with all the mergers, acquisitions, and the lack of fulfillment, maybe medical reps are having today, with inflation, the need to have another revenue stream to not only make up for what was lost over the last couple of years, but also who knows what the job security of the market looks like. So it's prudent to have to decentralize your income, from a job if you have a job, or you see a lot more health or medical reps now that are getting involved in other things. And this is something that can create some leverage and recurring revenue. We've moved past the innovator phase. We are now in the early adopter to early majority phase. You're seeing now is a great time because there's a lot of growth that's going to take place in a very short amount of time. So what I took 20 years to build, I believe people will be able to build in the next 18 to 24 months, through consistent effort because of the rapid growth that we're entering into and because more and more providers are looking into this. So wellness is becoming way more common than ever. The technology has gotten significantly better and smaller. There's now over 110 studies published on the device. It's not like there's one or two, it's well substantiated. The demand for supplements continues to climb, and there's more and more motivation for physicians to look outside of insurance. A lot of them are just kind of sick and tired of what's happening in healthcare. If you're an entrepreneur and if you have any relationships with anyone of Indian origin here in the US or anywhere else around the world, we're a global business. We will be opening up a new market, India, in 2025. And we expect that to be a huge market. So if you know anybody of Indian origin, there's a great opportunity to start with us now and to work through them and their contacts, because in order to do business in India, we will need to do business through people of Indian origin in order to launch that market. So that'll be a really exciting opportunity if you're interested in exploring that. So how do you get started? Well, if you want to go fast, if you're a healthcare provider, obviously you need the device. And so, you're not having to invest $100,000 for a new piece of equipment. It's a $3,700 investment. You get over $2,000 in product. You get your training, marketing material, a turnkey system, coaching, a community. We're not just doing this as a job. We all are very passionate about shifting healthcare towards prevention and helping you be successful. And then the only other fee on the device is this $140 a month to lease the device. And so PharmNX will maintain the device for you. They keep it updated. If a new model comes out, new software comes out, if it breaks, you don't have anything to worry about. So it's a really nice program. Now, if you're a medical rep or an entrepreneur and you want to start with a scanner to go out there and build your business, we would waive the training fee for you. So you get a little bit of a discount if you're coming in on the rep side of things, because we're not going in there and training in office. There are some other options of getting started, a little bit medium or slow, where you can get some samplings of some products. You would not be able to qualify to get your own device at that time. There are some ways to get one later. So we have different flexible options on how you want to get involved, because this is an entrepreneurial venture. You have an equity stake with a willable, sellable asset. This is much different than having W-2 income or independent contractor income. This is actually acts more like a business with the support of a well-run, publicly traded company. Next steps here: contact the person that invited you. Let them know if you want to get started. Let them know if you don't want to get started. Like, give them some feedback so they know. Most of the people that work with us are not aggressive salespeople. We're here just to get the word out there, to coach people. We've had an overwhelming amount of people on this webinar here tonight. We had to expand our capacity for tonight. And so sometimes, there's a lot of work right now that our team has to do with follow-up. So if you are interested or you're not interested, please let the person know. And that way you can make a connection if you don't already have a call scheduled.